All right, y'all, we're going to take a look at this boudoir photography business today. Going to take a look at its high intent Google searches that boudoir buyers are searching. See if it has BSS and see if we're meeting the GBC recommended minimum of hitting 3 out of 10 page one Google slots. So we're back here in the GBC universe where we take declining boudoir photographers, turn them into the #1 boudoir photographers in their city. Our North Star, as always, is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More about that and whatever pinned post, pinned video, home video, somewhere around here. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So if we're falling, we're missing somewhere on this intent ladder. We're not capturing the amount of people we need to at each intent step or intent level. So we see over on the left, BSS, that's what we talk about here. That's the highest intent people doing, social search, Google search. And then over on the right, the lowest intent people, that's BLCS, that's our other brand, Boudoir Facebook Ad Doctor. That's what we're working with boudoir photographers spending more than 10 grand per month on their boudoir Facebook ads. But BSS, that's what we care about today. So we care about the highest intent people right now. So BSS is boudoir search sameness. That's when a boudoir photographer has 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So 0 slots on page 1, and we're invisible. We're basically dead. And that's because that means we're on page 2 or deeper, and we know that approximately 80% of Google searches never go past the first page. That's literally page 1 only. So those 20%ers, we don't care about them. We want to deal with the 80%. 80%ers, the bulk of people. Now, 1 slot on page 1 also is not good for us because we look like everyone else on page 1. If there's not other boudoir photographers and everyone's got 1 link, then the searcher, the buyer, is simply going to literally click and opens everyone's website, contact everyone. We don't stand out at all. Probably won't even remember our name. So boudoir search sameness, boudoir photographer has 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google is not normal. Extremely common, but it's not normal is actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. First deeper root cause is market saturation, which most know about. The second one is the false belief of page 1 equality, which most people do not know about. Now, the market saturation, that's where it seems like every week someone gets a new iPhone, they throw up their Google My Business profile, and they say they shoot boudoir, they got their website up, they're competing with us to rank on page 1. Basically, more boudoir photographers over time competing for the same number of buyers, so it makes it harder, more difficult for everyone to compete. So that's consistently pushing people out of page 1 onto page 2, and effectively invisible to 80% of searchers that never even go to page 2. Now the new one here, we got the false belief of page 1 equality. This is new because people have kind of auto-accepted it because there's never really a word to describe this. For people to say, oh, I agree with that or disagree with that or I think it's true or false or whatever. But the false belief of page 1 is equality is basically assuming, getting 0 or 1 slot on page 1 of Google is the default. It's the norm. Everyone either has 0 slots or 1 slot, and maybe you had 1 slot on Google page 1, but market saturation puts us off to page 2. So all right, we got 0 slots on page 1, we got 1 slot on page 2, and all right, I mean that's how it is. It's how being a boudoir photographer is. But no, actually, we can actually take as many page 1 slots as we want to put in the work for. And I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google in 10 days. So this kind of page 1 equality assumption or like default belief, default assumption is 100% incorrect, which we'll see in a few more pictures down here. We also know that a boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness, so 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google, is a disappearing boudoir photographer. Yeah, it's kind of like the canary in the coal mine. I mean, if you got 0 slots on page 1, you're definitely disappearing. 1 slot on page 1 probably also disappearing as well because there may be some other people that got 2 slots on page 1, and we're not at 1 slot. We're not saying that at all. We're basically invisible. We're being price shopped against everyone. So it's kind of the canary in the coal mine where once someone becomes a disappearing boudoir photographer and they don't fight against it, then pretty soon, eventually, the entire business disappears as well. So it's kind of the canary in the coal mine of what can happen in the next future in the business. So BSS, luckily we got the solution. BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka our S-cubed methodology. we invented this, been working on it for about 7 months now. We're liking the results so far, so we're bringing it to market. And to utilize S-Cube's methodology, remember it's social search saturation. So we saturate search on Facebook search, Instagram search, TikTok search, YouTube search with what our people searching for boudoir photo shoots will be typing in. So we show up there. And once we do that, that actually flows over to Google. So saturating social search actually flows over to Google kind of as a byproduct, giving us multiple links on page one. And again, I went from 0 out of 10 links on page one to 9 out of 10 links on page one for what I wanted to rank for in 10 days. And so the magic about this is the only way someone can use this is if they crash, if they destroy that false belief of page one equality. Because once we use S-Cube methodology, and once you actually see these results I got, we'll realize, oh, that belief was actually false. Page one equality is not the norm. Google actually will give us as many links as we want to put in the effort to acquire, as many page one links. And so the second magical thing about S-Cube's methodologies is it's the only thing I've seen that actually fights back against market saturation. So imagine if there's, we're a boudoir photographer in LA, and there's a total of 1 million boudoir photographers in LA. Everyone's got their own website. So everyone's, fiercely competing to be page one on Google. But imagine we take the S-Cubed methodology to the extreme where we rank so hard for the highest intent keywords for people searching for boudoir photo shoots. And, we absolutely crush social search saturation, where literally like the first 300 slots of any and every search related to boudoir is us. So it's around all the social platforms that flows over to Google. And let's say the first 300 organic results on Google are only us as well, because we took S-Cubed methodology to the max. So the fact that there's 999,999 other boudoir photographers actually doesn't matter to us, because for the first 300 slots, anywhere somebody looks for boudoir photo shoot in LA, we're the only ones there. They got to go down to slot like 301, and Google is 10 organic slots per page, so they got to go to page like 31 to find another boudoir photographer. So whose business is still doing great? Ours, even though there's literally 999,999 other boudoir photographer competitors. So this is one of the special things about S-Cubed methodology. It's the only thing I've seen that actually, builds momentum and helps us compete against market saturation. That can happen relatively quickly. The only other second thing would be brand. People doing branded search searching for our brand specifically, but that takes years. So this is something that happens way faster than years to build a brand. And now once treated with S-Cubed methodology, we now have page one visibility. So we're actually seen on page one, even though, we may have had one slot on page one, we're still kind of invisible. But with page one visibility, we got 2. Well, we go for the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 here for local search and city search. But the added bonus is every new slot we take up on page one, we are kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page one, effectively making them invisible, because approximately 80% of Google searches never go to page 2. They stay on page 1. And as a result, kind of as we take 4 out of 10 slots, 5 out of 10 slots, 6 out of 10 slots, people searching for at least the 80%, the big chunk we're going for, they can only price shop us or compare us against 2, 3, 4 boudoir photographers instead of against 9, because they ain't going to page 2 anyways. And so this is one of the other bonuses. It's actually kicks our competitors out of basically being found. Now, page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us, because we're no longer at a 0 or 1. We're no longer at 0, 1 slots on page 1, and boudoir search for So we're actually standing out. Well, 0, 1, and we won't get to 3 because there may actually be someone else that has 2. I mean, 1's most common, 2 is kind of rare. But if we got 3 out of 10, we're ultra rare. And we're definitely standing out against people that have 1 slot each, and still standing out against people that got 2 slots. It's probably only one other person. And a boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. And This is our university disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness caused by market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. Once we accept page one equality is false, now we know, okay, now we can tackle it, we can solve it. The only thing I know that can solve it is S cubed methodology. It actually solves, the only thing I know that can solve both false belief of page one equality and market saturation. We achieve page one visibility, we become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. All right, so these are my results actually doing, so ranking for the keyword BLCS boudoir. So that's what I want to rank for. So we got the AI overview, got the Google Map Pack. Now looking at organic. So I got organic slot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10. So I got 9 out of 10 slots on page one of Google. And this was after I went from 0 out of 10 to 9 out of 10 in 10 days. And kicked everyone else off page one. I took it over. And this is showing the power of the S cubed methodology, where Google wants to give these page one slots to the people that want the page one slots the most, and to be relevant to the user search. So these slots are always up for grabs for everyone that wants them. So now into the main event here. Going to see this boudoir photography business, see how the search is looking for their local and city search. Actually, they're both in this case. So if we got BSS, yes or no. So if we're in the GBC recommended minimum, 3 out of 10 slots paid on Google, or let's hit it, Bellingham, Washington. All right, so let's see what we got. Let's see. All right, so we do got one. Boom, we got one. All right, we got one. So we got 1 out of 10. And city's always the hardest one to rank for. So we got 1 out of 10, that's good. But we got BSS, we got boudoir search sameness. We also got, we're not hitting the GBC recommended amount of 3 out of 10 page one slots on Google. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, meaning you've actually done your local searches, your city searches for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords in your city, and you have seen you got BSS for at least one of those searches, or you're not hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots page one Google search for at least one of those searches, and you've accepted that the false belief of page one equality is exactly that, a false belief. So like, man, yeah, we actually can take as many page one slots on Google as we want. And so you kind of broke through the mental barrier, and you're seeing, wow, SQ methodology, that's the solution I need. That's what I've been waiting for. It's the solution for me. And you're liking the initial benefits, yeah, more slots for you page one Google search. And then obviously you also like kicking your competing with photographers off page one, effectively rendering them invisible to approximately 80% of the market, or approximately 80% of buyers. That's a good strategic move. And you understand market saturation, yeah, more peeps become with photographers over time, and it's because people upgrade their gear. But you're also remembering back in COVID, what happened? A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people still need to earn money. Everyone's got a superpowered smartphone with an ultra camera. So a ton of new boudoir photographers enter the market. Increased supply, more sellers for the same number of buyers, harder for every single seller. And now you're seeing AI taking more people's jobs. And you're actually seeing that more peeps will, AI is only simply going to get better and better over time. We're going to take more and more people's jobs over time. So like, people upgrading their gear, come boudoir photographers, and people, on top of that, way more people actually losing their jobs due to AI. Going to be coming in being boudoir photographers on top of all that, the people upgrading their gear. So you're realizing it's not just simply about getting page one links and kicking competitors off page one. You actually need to fortify your position. Like literally have page one backup links where you got so many links that you've already taken up basically all the slots you can on page one, that all the other links that could be ranking on page one, Google actually puts them, page 2, page 3, page 4, kind of like backlog of links that are page one worthy. So then you can essentially prevent all current boudoir photographer competitors from ever ranking on page one, and also essentially prevent all the future boudoir photographers from ever future boudoir photographers actually come through AI taking their job from ever ranking on page one. So you understand, you got to fortify your position like fortifying the levees down in Nolens, Louisiana, because that city's actually below sea level, so they got to fortify the levees against the ocean. And you're saying, okay, how do we get all these links? And you're saying, okay, SQ methodology, got it. That's fortification. That's the benefit SQ methodology gives as well. And you want to achieve page one visibility in order to become a visible boudoir photographer, to achieve boudoir search visibility, because you need these things on your path to becoming the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you are also understanding kind of the future benefits of SQ methodology, where all these all the social search saturation we're doing for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords. You're understanding that we're basically building like these invisible thematic keyword columns, plugging them into your brand, your business name, your website name, your personal name, your social media handles. And every day we build these up by successfully executing SQ methodology. We're actually increasing the probability in two places, that we show up in two places. The first one here, AI overview. Most premium placement in Google search. #1 organic slot here. Cannot buy this with ads. And we're also increasing the probability of being shown in AI search apps. ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. Increasing the probability of showing up there every day. And that's important because AI search is growing every day while Google standard search is declining every single day. And you know that AI search is important. So these two benefits, AI overview, AI search, SQ methodology gives these, because it's exactly what we're doing, building the invisible thematic keywords columns. It's kind of like back-end AI keyword mindshare. That's kind of momentum. That's exactly what it is. So every day we do it. Successful SQ methodology, we're increasing the probability of showing up here. And I remember the last time I searched for boudoir photographers in a city with an AI app, was with ChatGPT. It gave me 3, but I went to then look manually, Google standard search, Facebook search, and dude, there's like 60. It's like, man, we gotta get in on these AI slots any way possible. And that's SQ methodology is the greatest, best way that I've ever seen that enables the highest probability for a boudoir photographer to achieve that. And you also like feature benefits, yeah, can help build a brand approximately. It takes faster than standard methods. And you also understand that my current plan is to only work with one boudoir photographer per city. And so you like getting all these benefits, and also you like being able to prevent your competitors from getting these benefits, so you can actually build up massive link war chest, link ranking, and link kind of back-end AI keyword mindshare momentum. Massive gap between you and your competitors to basically make it so that that gap can be made so big that basically nobody can, no current competitor could essentially catch you, and no future competitor that actually comes from AI taking a job that basically ever catch you. You also, and that's why you decide to be first mover, because you want all these benefits and to prevent your competitors from getting all these benefits. You let that gap, because you understand the converse. The converse is actually that one of your competitors in your city signs on me first. We're putting their links page 1 Google search. You're getting pushed off here on page 2 or 3 or somewhere deeper invisible to approximately 80% of the market or more. We're fortifying their page 1 links in Google search so that essentially you'll never be able to rank on page 1 again as long as we keep executing. We're building out the backend AI keyword mindshare momentum, and make it a super large gap between your competitor and you. And you're realizing to compete, you'd actually have to rederive SQ methodology, which, derive it for the first time, and you would never actually know if you've derived it correctly. 100%, you'd never be 100% confident you've derived it correctly. And then you'd have to go execute it every single day, same as us. But if you did both those things, the gap me and your competitor have already have ahead of you, it would be the same distance. You'd be maintaining the size of that gap. So to make any headway, close that gap, you'd actually have to outwork us like 2 to 3x every single day. And if you did that, well, then first of all, you wouldn't be 100% confident you've derived the strategy correctly. So it'd be hard to even put in 2 to 3x the time every single day. And then you'd be sitting there like, well, screw this. Who's got 80 hours to do all this stuff, all this work every single day? So if that's you, shoot us a DM. Our DMs are currently closed right now. The hospital is currently closed to new patients. But when the hospital does open for new patients, shoot us a DM and we will see if you qualify for utilizing our S-cubed methodology.